Good evening. We are back to the study of the Spirits book. We have one question left on the item Guardian Angels, protective, familiar, and sympathetic spirits, which is question 521, which is more of a long question, so that's why we left it for today. Let us finish and then we move to the next subject, which is presentiments. Okay, Philip.
521. Can certain spirits assist the progress of the arts by protecting those who foster and support them? There are special spirit protectors who assist those who call them when they deem them to be worthy of their assistance. But what can they do for those who believe themselves to be something that they are not? They cannot make the blind see, nor make the deaf hear. The people of ancient times made these protective spirits special deities. The muses were nothing more than the metaphoric personification of the guardians of arts and sciences, just like the family protector spirits were designated by the Roman names of Lars and Penates. Modern civilizations also have their patrons in the arts in various industries, in cities and countries who are none other than higher guardian spirits just under different names. As each person has their own sympathetic spirit, most sympathetic spirits of a collective whole correspond to the majority of individuals that compose them, and that foreign spirits are attracted to such groups out of similarity of taste and thoughts. In a word, that these groups, as well as individuals comprising them, are more or less surrounded, influenced, and supported according to the leading character of its members. Among nations, spirits are attracted by the habits, manners, and dominant characteristics of their people, and particularly their legal system, because the character of a nation is reflected in its laws. Those who uphold righteousness resist the influence of wicked spirits. Wherever laws embody injustice and inhumanity, good spirits are in the minority, and the bad ones who flock there keep the people trapped under their false ideas and paralyze the good influences that are lost in the crowd, like a single ear of corn in the midst of a sea of weeds. By studying the customs of nations or of any group of individuals, it is therefore easy to get an idea of the invisible population that meddles in their thoughts and actions.
So, the question from Kardec was if the spirits assist the progress of the arts by protecting those who foster and support them. And the answer is yes. We have read in books of André Luiz the spirits talking about a painting that André Luiz saw in the spiritual world, and I remember having seen it here when he was incarnated, and the mentor explained to him that he was that the painter saw it in a dream and replicated the painting. So the painting in the physical world was a copy of the spiritual world. So artists, well-intentioned and trying to produce uplifting works of art will be protected and assisted by spirits, like all other aspects of our work here on Earth. Whenever we have a group of people working for the progress of humankind, you have a group of spirits trying to help them. But what they cannot do, as they say here, is make the blind see nor make the deaf hear. So they are not going to modify, and we are going to see this very, very soon after presentiments on on the influence of spirits in our, you know, in luck and this sort of things. And then Kardec makes a long comment on how people of ancient times used to call the muses, right? This protective spirit, something that we still use today. Some artists say that they have a muse, an inspiration that can be an incarnated or can be a spirit. So the Romans used the name of Lares and Penates for those that the family protective spirits. And then Kardec goes further talking about patrons in yards in various industries, cities, and countries. As we studied last week, the larger the group, the more evolved has to be the spirit to be in charge of protecting the group. So family, neighborhood, city, a country, they all have protective spirits. As we mentioned before, we know the protective spirit for France, which is St. Louis, and the protective spirit of Brazil, Ismael, and the protective spirit of the US, as far as you know, between Abraham Lincoln and Benjamin Franklin, and but we never received a specific name. So again, whenever we have a collective, there will be spirits that are attracted to it. And again, then when we are talking about sympathetic spirits, like as we saw last week, it can be for the good or for evil. They will be attracted by the majority of individuals that compose them. Similarity of tastes and thoughts could be positive, could be negative. We are always surrounded by spirits, influenced and supported according to those leading these groups, right? And then he goes a little bit into nations. Depending on how the nation have their laws and their ways of being, will attract more elevated spirits or less elevated spirits. And we see the difference in the progress of countries, right? We can, and Kardec say that by studying the customs of nations or any group of individuals, it's therefore easy to get an idea of the invisible population. But we have to remember that the invisible population is also comprised of those that have lived in that area and and likes the area, is sympathetic to the area, right? So you were born here in the US and you love your country, you want to stay in the spiritual world, continue to be connected to the US for different reasons. It can be that you were born somewhere else, came here, and then when you go back to the spiritual world, you decide to go to the spiritual plane of that place that you were born. We find ourselves where our thoughts takes us, where our vibrations takes us, and we are going to associate with spirits at the same level of vibration. Okay, so that was the last question on this subject. Dani.
I have a question about the laws. Like several countries in the world, they have similar kinds of laws. Let's say the west of the world, right? To be more, to make it easier. But we follow the laws in very different ways, or the laws are reinforced more than other places, like more, they are
in some places than others.
And they also maybe they go through the whole thing from beginning to end. Some places just the beginning and then let it go. Like we can easily compare Brazil to the United States, right? For the Brazilians in here. does it apply for the same idea here, just not having the kind of laws tell the kind of people and spirits who attract it, or following the law also applies to this as well?
It's more of a question of sympathetic spirits to the surroundings, right? So a spirit that is connected, let's say, to Italy, right? They chose a new pope today, right? They will have spirits that are comfortable with the way things are run in Italy, you know, understanding that we are all imperfect spirits, so nothing is going to be perfect. But if they want to be part of influencing a group, they will look for a group that has similar tastes, so they can help and assist that group if that is what they are trying to do, right? So when Kardec talks about the legal system here, and again, remember this was written in 1857, right? So the legal system was a different legal system. He was talking about spirits trying to help the progress of that community, that country, and when they know that the legal system is already in the right direction, they will have more incentive to work there. On the contrary, countries that are with a very poor legal system, of course, will attract spirits that want to cause more disturbance and more chaos, right? Because, again, they can only associate with similar thoughts and ideas. They cannot influence someone to do something that he or she is not, right? So if you are an upright person and you are always trying to do the right thing, and you don't have, you know, your imperfections are limited, they are going to connect to your imperfections, but they are not going to want to change you, you know. If you're not a person that steals, there's no spirit that is going to convince you to steal. So it applies in a larger group. It applies the same theory, right? Spirits will be attracted to the behavior of the group. It can be a city, a country, and all that. Now, let's say in a country like the US, right? The spirits may try to influence the lawmakers to propose and change the laws that they think are not progressive, not progressive in the sense that we use progress, but not according to the law of progress. They are backwards, right? They will try to influence that. And in other countries, but they will only try if they see that they can make a difference. That's something we also saw last week, right? If a spirit understands that it cannot make a difference in a place like our guardian angel with us, if they are trying to make us choose the right path, if we keep insisting on choosing the wrong path, they will step aside and wait for a better opportunity, because they have a better understanding of us as eternal spirits, and they will wait for us to change. Okay, I don't know if I answered more or less what you wanted. Yeah. Anything?
I agree. I think the question of laws, it's more relevant to the time of Kardec. I think today there is a kind of a globalization of the laws. Now, you're absolutely right. It's the application and the enforcement of those laws is what varies tremendously from country to country. But I think that the laws in general, of course, are pretty much globalized today. The great difference, you're absolutely right, is the reinforcement and application of those laws that should prevail. And to that, I think there's tremendous amount of influence of the spirits in those regions, law of attraction.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Presentiments.
522. Is a presentiment always a warning from a protective spirit? A presentiment is private guidance from a spirit who wishes you well. The same may be said of the intuition that leads a spirit to choose a specific life when about to be reincarnated. This is a voice of instinct. A spirit, before incarnation, is aware of the kind of trials it is about to endure. When these trials are of a very clear nature, the spirit maintains an impression of them. This impression, the instinctive voice, becomes more intense or louder as the crucial moment draws near, and eventually becomes a presentiment.
Yeah. So a presentiment is a feeling that something is, that something is going to happen, or a choice that you have to make, an indication of a choice that you have to make. We come to this incarnation more or less prepared. So we have in our memory, unconscious memory, the idea what we are supposed to do in this incarnation. And that it can manifest as an intuition or as a presentiment. Our guardian angel also knows even better than us what path we have to follow. So they can try to help and assist us in this matter. That again, how do we differentiate what is ours, what is from the guardian angel? We talked about this last when we were studying guardian angels. It doesn't really matter. What matters is if we are making the best and the right choice for ourselves. If it comes from us or from the spirit, our spiritual guide, doesn't really matter. But some people have this more clear than others, right? Presentiments and feelings about something that is going to happen or the best paths to take. Some people have less, in the sense that maybe they pay less attention to their intuitions, presentiments. Okay?
He says that it's presentiments, private guides from the spirit who wishes you well. So wishes you well in this case can be a guardian angel or a familiar spirit that wishes us well.
Yes.
Okay, so it can be both.
Can be both, yes. Yeah, because we are, like we study, we are surrounded by spirits, and we have our familiar ones that wants us to do well. They are not advanced enough to be our guardian angels, but they want us to succeed. So they can influence us if we listen to them, right? Again, like you listen to your mother, advice from your mother when they are good advice. You can listen to a familiar spirit also.
Oh, what is meant, or even if that's the original one, says this is a voice of instinct. It's kind of mismatch. Or you don't have that on your video.
I didn't look at the original. I don't know.
Yeah, this is a voice of instinct.
This is a voice of instinct. Yeah, the same way said.
Reference to intuition.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what they mean here. You have to look at the originals if it's like that. And again, the next question is the voice of instinct. Here it comes again.
Okay.
523.
Yeah.
As presentiments and the voice of instinct are always somewhat vague, what should we do when uncertain? When in doubt, call out to your protective spirit or pray to God to send you a messenger, one of us.
Again, when we are in doubt what path to follow, the best advice is to pray, to ask for guidance, to ask for protection, and to help us make the good choice. Again, we have our free will. We are going to make our choices. If we are in doubt, we should reflect. And by praying, we elevate our vibrations, we elevate our thoughts, and allow the familiar spirits, the protective spirits, to connect with us and maybe give us guidance.
Good guidance.
Anna is asking, intuition and presentiment the same? No, they said before here, right?
That's the problem.
Yeah. Intuition is what you.
So simply something is about to happen to you.
Yeah, presentiment is the idea of something that is going to happen. Yeah, and intuition always.
You know, it's just instead of making a decision, go to right or go to left, no, stay or don't, or go, things like that.
And it can be instinctive, right?
Yeah, I think the voice of instinct is just an expression,
Yeah.
nothing more. There's nothing to do with instinct itself, just an expression used
To represent intuition.
to visual presentiment.
Yeah. But again, to pray is the best protection that we can have for everything in life, not only for that, for everything in life.
524. Do our guardian spirits only warn us of moral guidance? Do they warn us in our personal affairs? Guardian spirits warn you with respect to everything that concerns you. Your guardian spirits try to lead you to the best possible course in everything that you do. Unfortunately, you often ignore their open guidance and get into trouble through no fault other than your own. Our guardian spirits give us guidance and awaken the voice of our conscience. However, as we do not always attach enough importance to their hints, they give us more direct warnings to the people around us. If humans reflect upon various circumstances of their lives, they will see that on many occasions, they received advice that would have spared them a good deal of aggravation or pain if they had not ignored.
Yeah, so yes, our guardian angels, guardian spirits, they want us to progress. So, and for us to progress in our physical life, not only of moral aspect, is everything that happens in our daily lives, right? So all the problems that are part of this world that we are trying to solve, to overcome the difficulties, we can count on their assistance, their guidance. They always try to lead us through the best possible course, but of course, we are the ones that don't listen, right? Because we are sometimes hard-headed, we're sometimes focused on one path and refuse to look at different alternatives. We fall in our ways of being accommodated in our own ways, and that all the advices that may come from the spirits that are always trying to help and assist us may go ignored by us, right?
But may I like to make a comment though.
Sure, Paco.
Okay, I'm stubborn. Okay, so I may see the guidance, and I see the hand extended, but I'm stubborn. I don't want to listen. Okay, I am stubborn. I'm into this, and don't tell me anything.
Yeah.
But now I sometimes wonder if that by itself. Yeah, I guess I'm very positive. If that by itself is a lesson that I have to go through, and I'm going to go through that, and it becomes a lesson itself. Am I
It,
making sense?
yes, it becomes a lesson. Yes, you have to go through it. No, that's your own choice. Being stubborn is your own choice. Is who you are. The consequence of it is that you are going to get into more trouble than you should. And yes, you're going to learn from it. Absolutely. Maybe in the next incarnation or even in the same incarnation, you can learn, reflect, and decide not to be too stubborn after, you know.
Exactly. But my point is that even if you are that or what stubborn and what's willful, the system, I'll call it the system, even provides for your benefit
Yes, everything is an opportunity for us to learn.
for us to learn. You know,
Yeah.
that's I guess I believe that. I believe that. You know
Yeah,
that you know.
it's like what I say, right? When you do nothing, how are you progressing? You are progressing by learning that doing nothing is not the best option for your progress, but
Exactly.
it doesn't happen during, it will happen later.
Exactly. And you get to that point. You get to that
Yeah.
point. Say, listen.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I guess I'm projecting myself anyway.
Right? That's all from Presentiments. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Now, influence of spirits in life events.
525. Do spirits exercise any influence over the events of our lives? Of course they do, since they give you advice. Do they exercise this influence in any way other than through the thoughts they suggest to us? Do they initiate any direct action on events? Yes, but their action never oversteps the laws of nature. We wrongly assume that spirits only manifest themselves through extraordinary phenomena. We would like to see them aid us through miracles, and we imagine them to be armed with some sort of magic wand. This is not the case, as their guidance is only through natural means, and their intervention usually takes place without our being aware of it. For instance, they may cause the meeting of two individuals who seem to have been brought together by chance. They suggest to the mind of an individual the idea of going to a particular direction. They call attention to some special point, and if the individual unknowingly follows their suggestions, this brings about the result they seek to obtain. This way, human beings believe they are following their own impulses and always maintain their free will.
Okay, we know that the spirits can act on the physical world, right? We study that through the ectoplasm. We study the physical manifestations that we just finished in the medium's book. So we know that the spirits can have direct action on things. Now, the point from the spirits here is their action never oversteps the laws of nature. They cannot infringe the natural laws. So when we try to attribute some phenomena to the spirits that are actually just natural phenomena that is occurring, we are imagining, as Kardec says here, that the spirits are capable of miracles or have a magic wand. And that's not the case. The reality is that the spirits can influence, but their influence is much more, it's much stronger in the thoughts, in the minds of the people. So again, it's easier for a spirit to if they want, they think it's important for you to meet someone that is going to benefit you, right? You're walking on the street and then you decide to take a different direction and then you meet that person. You can say that this may have been influenced by a spirit that is trying to help us in some way, right? So you take a a path that you never taken, a route that you never taken, and then suddenly you meet someone that you haven't seen in a long time, and from this meeting, something happens. Something positive happens for you. So you can, looking back, you can see the influence of the spirits, right? That are trying to help and assist us. But they are never going to break the natural laws. And we're going to see more questions about that, right? They're not going to cause things to fall on our head and things like that, right?
$5.26.
Yep.
As spirits possess the power of acting upon matter, can they cause incidents to happen to guarantee a given event? For example, are individuals destined to die in a specific manner at a given time? If a person climbs a ladder, the ladder breaks and the person dies. Have spirits caused the ladder to break to fulfill the destiny accepted by or imposed upon this person? Spirits can act upon matter, but only through natural law and not by deviating from it to cause an unforeseen event opposing these laws. In the example above, the ladder breaks because it is rotten and not strong enough to bear the man's weight. However, as this demise was this man's destiny, the spirits around him influence him to climb the ladder that will break under his weight, and his death will take place naturally. In this case, no miracle was required to bring it about.
Yeah, this is a question when we are talking about these events. It's a very common question for those that are studying spiritism, right? How much the spirits can cause the accidents and can cause the influence. And as they explain very well here, they didn't break the ladder. They didn't cause the ladder broke because it was either rotten or not strong enough for the man. What they can do, yes, is influence the man to climb the ladder. Now, does this man, was his destiny to die from a fall from a ladder? No. His reincarnation plan was to have a death around that time from an accident or from one reason or another. And the opportunity there was for him to fall from the ladder. But he could, through his free will, look at the ladder and say, I'm not going to climb this ladder, and go on his life and then have another accident, sometime from there, right? I always remember the case of, it was a long, like 20, 25 years ago, of that person that missed a flight. The plane fell, everything on board died, everyone on board died, and this person died in a car accident 3 days later. It was supposed to be in the plane, decided not to take the plane for some reason, died in an accident 3 days later. So it's not written in stone, right? We have our free will, but there are things, experiences that we have to go through that are part of our incarnation plan that we will go through one way or another, respecting our free will and our choices. Okay.
5.27.
Yeah.
Let us take another example in which the natural state of matter does not intervene. A man is destined to be killed by lightning. He is caught in a storm and seeks shelter under a tree. The lightning strikes the tree and he dies. Have spirits made the lightning bolt strike to kill this specific person? The explanation of this case is the same as the previous example. Lightning strikes the tree at this particular moment because it was in accordance with the laws of nature. Lightning was not made to strike the tree because the man was under it. But the man is inspired with the idea of seeking shelter under a tree that is about to be struck by lightning. The tree would have been struck regardless of whether the man had been under it or not.
Yeah, this is a an explanation of the natural laws, right? The lightning is going to happen, it's going to hit the tree, whether the man is under the tree or not. If he is supposed to go through this traumatic experience to end his life, he's going to be inspired by the idea of seeking shelter for the rain under the tree, and the tree is going to be struck by lightning. But maybe he decides not to go under the tree, decides to continue to walk and face the rain. Something else is going to happen to him eventually, in a short period of time. And again, we don't have a specific date to return to the spiritual world. We have an expectation of a number of years that we are supposed to stay incarnated, that can be extended or reduced according to our own free will. So there is no such thing as a due date for our incarnation.
Well, I have a feeling like Kardec, I know that Kardec does not do anything that is not a purpose. But he as if the answers from the spirits were not making him happy. So he kept asking the question with different examples until he gets this into what he wants. I was reading that, keep asking the same.
Yeah, and he's going to continue. We are going to have more questions, yes. But I think so. I think. But what he's trying to do is create a picture of how things work in that sense, right? Yeah. In the influence of spirits. So I think he's trying to make us understand that the influence of spirits is much greater and relevant in ourselves, and not in the phenomena around us, right?
Yeah, they just use the phenomena to make things that's supposed to happen to us happen.
For these experiences we have to go through. Yes, yeah. Okay.
528. A nasty person hurls an object at someone that nearly hits the person but does not make contact. Has the object been deflected by a friendly spirit? If the individual aimed at was not destined to be hit, a friendly spirit would have suggested the thought of stepping outside the trajectory of the object, or would have impacted the enemy's sight to give the individual poor aim. Once thrown, the object follows its line of projection.
Again, the influence is on the person, not on the object. The other day I saw one of these TikTok videos, right? A guy that avoided being hit by a car. The car was completely out of control and hit, I don't know if it was a house or a post. And the guy is walking on the sidewalk, and suddenly he stops for, I don't know, I don't remember exactly what. And when 2 seconds after he stops, the car goes in front of him and hits the house or whatever. So if he didn't stop, he'll be hit by a car. I think this is an example. Why did he stop? He heard something from the spirits. He had some intuition, presentiment, something, and stopped, right? He could have ignored. I'm in a hurry, and that will be the end, right? So it is, the spirits act on us much more than on the objects. They cannot deviate a bullet. I think no, the next one is for the bullets. The bullets, yeah.
529. What should we think of the magic bullets we read about in folklore and legends that always reach their mark? They are the product of the imagination. Human beings love the spectacular and are not satisfied with the wonders of nature? Can spirits who want us to lead our lives through a different direction obstruct the work of spirits who direct the events of our lives? What God has willed must take place. If a delay or interference occurs, it can only be by God's allowance.
Okay, so here are two parts. First, these magic bullets and things that are always reach the mark. You know, the Spirit tells here very clear it's product of the imagination. We like to fantasize about these supernatural things because it excites us. Now, on the influence of spirits, we have to remember that they can only influence those that connect to them. So a spirit who wants to lead our life toward a different direction, obstruct the work of spirits who direct the event of our lives, only if we allow them, right? It's, again, it's our own choices, our free will, to whom we listen. You know, if we are listening to those that want to go with us to cause some harm, damage, or anything to someone else, if we decide to go with them, it's our free will. Our protecting spirits will try to inspire us, to prevent us from doing that. But we make our choices according to our free will. Anna.
So, João, yes, I know there are multiple questions with examples, but I'm grateful because I'm still trying to understand a few things here. So, considering free will and considering the rational thinking behind everything that we know when Kardec brings, how come the spirits would know where light would strike? Because in some things I think are easier to understand, that it's easier to predict. But then there's always free will, right? So in the example of the person that did not get hit by a car, if that person was alerted, through intuition there, for the other not to stop before crossing the street or something like that, I guess it would be easier for a spirit to predict that a car is coming, that person is gonna turn right or left, or it's gonna miss the sign, and then an accident. It's the probability of the accident happening is there. But with lightning, perhaps the same. I don't know. But how would we explain that? I imagine not every spirit would know, but perhaps at some level, you would have a better understanding of how to predict the things. How does it work?
Well, the spirits knows, as we do know, that a lightning will strike at the tallest point in a region, right? And a tall tree is very likely to be struck by a lightning during a storm. So the spirits play in the law of probability. There is a storm, there is lightning coming on, and if the light is gonna go down, it's gonna find the tallest point in a region. That is the tallest tree. The likelihood of a lightning hitting that tree is very large. But it's not a no absolutely, it's just using science.
Thank you. That helps a lot. So it's still very much rational. That's what I wanted to
Absolutely.
confirm.
Yes, always.
Process. Yeah, not that's at some point we would have well, more knowledge for sure, but more special skills for sure. But okay, I got it. Thank you so much.
No, it's just like science. We know that the lightning
Yes.
will hit the tallest point in the region. And there's a tall tree over there. The likelihood of anything getting hit by a lightning will be that tall tree.
Yeah. And again, the free will is important to understand that if the spirit decides not to seek shelter in the tree, it's not that his destiny is going to be in disarray. It's just, again, we have several options. So he doesn't sit under the tree, he'll have some other type of accident because he has to go through a violent death. There will be a different type of violent death that he's going to face.
Yeah, I see also, like, in this case of the lightning and the tree, and the person is in an open field, and then he said, okay, I'm not staying here because it might be hit by a lightning because I'm under the tallest tree. But I keep walking. As soon as he kept walking, a lightning strikes on his head, because then in an open field, he became the tallest thing.
Yeah.
So he escaped, between quotes, he escaped from the tree, but he ended up hit because it was.
Could be.
Could be.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
530. Can flippant and mocking spirits cause pesky annoyances that defeat our projects and upset our plans? In other words, are they the architects of what we commonly call the petty troubles of human life? These spirits take pleasure in causing disturbances that test your patience, but they tire of this game when they see that they are unsuccessful in perturbing you. However, it would be neither just nor correct to blame them for all your disappointments. Your own recklessness causes the majority of them. When your china breaks, it is much more likely to have been caused by your own clumsiness rather than by a spirit. Why do spirits cause pesky annoyances? Is it out of personal animosity, or they attack the first person who crosses their path for no other reason than pure spite? They act out due to both of these motives. In some cases, they are enemies whom you have made during your present or former life and who pursue you accordingly. In others, they act without any fixed objective in mind.
Okay, so of course we have mocking spirits that, if we have mocking individuals incarnated and they go back to the spiritual world, they take pleasure in making fun of others or abusing others, they'll continue to do the same in the spiritual world. They'll find different ways of doing it. Remember the movie Ghost? It's becoming more and more difficult talking about the movie Ghost because it's been 25 years, so less people have seen it, right? Talking to youth about the Ghost, about movie Ghost, nobody saw it. But we here, most of us here saw it, right? And you have those spirits there, the one that live in the subway, right? He took pleasure in disturbing others just for the sake of disturbing, because he thought that the subway belonged to him. And then he teach Patrick Swayze, right, how to act on the physical, over physical matter. So again, the spirits will cause disturbances whenever they want to make fun, or they can cause disturbances. Remember, for these things to happen, there has to be a medium around that produces enough ectoplasm for them to make objects disappear or fall or things like that. But like the spirits tells us here, most of the cases is our own recklessness. Then it's easy to blame the spirits, right? Because it's an easy way out, right? We drop the glass, so it was a spirit that made me drop the glass, when in reality we were not paying attention. But yes, if you heard from Laura that things disappearing in her house, right? It's the spirits trying to disturb her. It can be either out of personal animosity or just be out of fun, right? It can be personal and it can be not personal, but just they take the opportunity. But if it's happening around us, somehow we are allowing it to happen for some reason. We are lowering our vibrations. and we heard people that have physical phenomena happening around them, that depending on how their mood is, it happens more or less. There was a girl that used to come here, and she moved away, but that she had physical phenomena happening around her all the time. And she said whenever she was more disturbed, more unbalanced, things will happen much more than when she was balanced. So again, it's a proof that it's our own vibrations and our own energy that allow this to happen around us. Okay?
531.
Yeah.
Does the turpitude of those who have done us harm on earth end in the physical life? In many cases, they realize the unfairness of their actions and regret the wrong they have done to you. In other cases, they continue to pursue you with their animosity, if God permits them to do so, as a continuation of your trial. Can we put an end to this sort of torture? If so, by what means? In many cases, you can do so by praying for them. Make them good in spite of their wickedness, and you will gradually make them see that they are wrong. In all cases, they will stop attacking you if you can show them that you are able to rise above their behavior with patience, seeing that they gain nothing by their misdeeds. Experience proves that imperfect spirits wreak their vengeance from one life to another, and that we are forced to make amends sooner or later for the wrongs we may have done to others.
Yes. So why Jesus said before placing an offering in the altar, go and reconcile with your enemies, right? Because if we don't reconcile with our enemies, we are going to continue having them in the spiritual world. If they discarnate before us, they will be chasing us. If we discarnate before them, we will be chasing them. Now, this only happens because we allow these connections with our enemies, or with those that have differences with us. And it only ends when we rise above on our elevations, right? For those that watch the movie about the life of Divaldo, right? He had this persecutor throughout his whole life. And how did he ended up stop persecuting Divaldo when Divaldo adopted his former mother as a baby, received the baby in the Mansion of the Way, and taking care of the baby. Was a girl that was born in very difficult conditions and was the former mother of this persecutor. And then he recognized by the example of Divaldo that he really was a changed person, and decided to stop persecuting him and started assisting him also to defend him, right? Again, when one doesn't want to fight, two won't fight, right? We need to rise above. That's our responsibility for ourselves. It's not because of the other, it's because of ourselves. In rising above, in elevating our vibration, we are benefiting ourselves, first and foremost. By consequence, we are benefiting the other also. If we are praying, if we're asking for them to be assisted, protected, we are benefiting them also. But first and foremost, we are benefiting ourselves. We are the ones that need to do the work of improving ourselves to get rid of those that we caused harm and that wants to cause harm to us, and vice versa. Okay? Okay, let's do one more.
532. Do spirits have the power to divert misfortunes from certain persons and to attract prosperity to them? Only to a certain extent, as some misfortunes are predestined by providence. What spirits can do is lessen your suffering by helping you to bear your trials and tribulations with patience and resignation. Know that you are often responsible for avoiding pain and suffering, or at least reducing them. God has given you intelligence, and when you use it, you enable friendly spirits to help you most effectively by way of suggesting constructive ideas. They only help those who help themselves, as dictated by the Bible. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened. You must remember that what appears to be a misfortune is not always such, for its ultimate goal, good, is often greater than the seeming evil. You do not always recognize this because you are inclined to think only of the present and your own immediate satisfaction.
Yes, like we always say, right? You get what you need, not necessarily what you want from the assistance of the spirits. So we are basically responsible for our own struggles. Pain and suffering are consequences, are trials or atonements, consequence of past actions. So by accepting that, we have the capacity, the intelligence to bear your trials and tribulations with patience and resignation, like the spirits say here, right? We always talk in our opening prayer when to give those suffering the strength to have patience and active resignation to accept what's happening to them. It's easy to say, not very easy to practice. But we know that only those that help themselves can be helped by the spirits. Again, when you elevate your thoughts and you ask for patience, ask for resignation, acceptance, you have spirits assisting you, comforting you, guiding you in the best ways to avoid the suffering or to minimize the suffering. But always remembering that sometimes the misfortune that is happening to us is an important tool for our growth, that we need to go through it because it will help us evolve morally and intellectually. Okay? All right, we're going to stop here. We start next week on 5:33. So what we have this weekend, on Saturday, we have a lecture by our friend Alex Alves from Orlando on trials and consolations. We just spoke about it, right? What are the trials and consolations we face during our incarnate life? What God is trying to teach us? If it gets too hard to overcome, where are the consolations and source of strength that we may need? So it's very much related to what we just studied here, right? On Sunday, we have the study of the book Jesus in the Home, I believe starting in chapter 13, right? And book club next week, A Light in the Darkness, we'll discuss chapter 8. Okay? Zoraida, can you do the final prayer for us, please?
Yes, I'll try, yes.
Thank you.
Dear Lord, we thank the good spirits that have come to assist us in our lesson here today. May we be able to put into practice the lessons given to us. Spirits who are giving us the understanding of protection and guidance. We are always protected and guided. We thank the good spirits that have come to assist in this lesson today. Allow us to take with us the understanding of presentiments and the influence of spirits in our life events. We pray, dear Lord, for SGNY and all spiritual centers, for the mediums and workers who continue to inspire us and guide us throughout our daily lives. May we also understand the importance of prayers throughout the week in our homes for our families and loved ones who are in need of guidance and strength. We thank you, Lord, for all that has been given to us today, and return again next week. And with this in mind, dear Lord, we ask permission to close our meeting today. So be it.